Y'all, I watched that last episode of the America's Next Top Model docuseries on Netflix, and I gotta say, my position hasn't really changed that much. All right, you white motherfuckers, all eyes on me. This is the I Refuse podcast. I'm Mr. Fox, the I Refuse podcast, back again doing the Lord's work, doing as promised, and coming back to you with another review. So I took my time watching this top model docuseries on Netflix because A, I have a career outside of this. I do this podcasting stuff for fun. But secondly, I'm in a different category than the rest of the folks that had so much to say about this docuseries, about Tyra being so invested in revising history. So with that, I watched episode 3, the final episode, and it was kind of anticlimactic, if I can be honest. It really just aimed to serve to this reality that at the end of the day, it is on you to take this opportunity and do something about it. You know, while I did say last episode, protect all women, I still stand 10 toes down, even though some of y'all might find that last video a little problematic. I don't give a fuck. I've been warning y'all for about 7 years. But for it to be about Top Model, and this is like an overall review, for it to be about Top Model, Tyra Banks, out of the 4 folks that were on the panel with her or were part of the show, didn't really offer a whole lot. Wasn't featured a whole lot. If anything, she wasn't even like the driving force in this docuseries. It definitely still looked like they were trying to aspire or rise to this quiet on set era that's out here. And at the end of the day, it was a reality show. It just so happened to be led by a model who at that time was also an actress, who at that time wanted to continue the entertainment aspect. Let's keep it a buck. You got to remember, by the time Top Model came on UPN in the early 2000s, Tyra Banks had done TV, comedy, movies, and dramas. And you will never get me to hate Tyra Banks, just like you will never get me to hate Jada Pinkett. People that you may not agree with how they go about things, or you perceive, or you may get caught up in the hoopla. But at the end of the day, Tyra Banks was doing what she had been doing up until that time, which is to entertain folks. And still, y'all have not saved any static for Kenya Barris. Like, we can get to this whole thing about how you have a show called Blackish. Yeah, everybody on there for the most part is of mixed race. Again, intrusive thoughts. But for the most part in this last episode, there were a lot of I wish, shoulda, woulda, couldas. You really can't do anything about what was. And if anything, these 3 episodes served to be the springboard for Cycle 25. So they're bringing it back. And I can't wait to see what y'all have to say. Because, you'll say all that stuff and still continue to watch. continue to tribute to the ad revenues, continue to tribute to the viewership, just so you can have something to say the week of its premiere. Probably around episode 1 or 2, I got to the realization that there are those of us that work our entire lives, been part of the real world for a considerable amount of time, that were not at all emotionally phased or overall traumatized, versus those that probably don't have to work or probably realize in the back of their minds that the key to entitlement and the key to making change is to simply say that you're offended. People that pretend to be dumb for engagement, so on and so forth. Everybody played their role. The only person that I'm still kind of side-eyeing that I didn't mention before is the president at the time. If at any point during production you are put through an experience such as Kenya, and you are on top of that not supported in any way, work your way up the chain and annoy people. That's the key to getting some change. You have to annoy people and stay on their back about things. Because there's no way, I think at the end of the day, for you to be a woman that's the president of programming or the president of whatever production company or channel who you greenlight this pitch into a show, I would think you would do some QA and you'd have some liability for airing this kind of thing. Sexual harassment and aggressive nature from men is nothing new. These are the variables of what contributes to a hostile work environment. And the women around Kenya, the women around Shandy, failed them. And I knew going into this, watching this, that they were interviewing Tyra, who was probably, unbeknownst to her, separately didn't even know that they were going to interview the other folks. It would have been interesting, at least in this episode, for them to interview winners and interview folks that actually parlayed their time on the show into a career. Because, you mean to tell me out of the 20 some odd cycles they've had of Top Model on air, you didn't interview anybody else? That's how I kind of knew that, okay, this was definitely, they were definitely aiming for a particular slant. They did touch on Mr. J's stroke, and very sad and very, it just reinforces, the realities of that, like the fashion industry or any place that you've put your all into that most likely doesn't have dental, vision, medical insurance. And you've helped all these people, become models, teach them how to walk. And none of them were around as you were going through this struggle alone. Yes, even Tyra. I get both sides. Two things can be true. That, yes, while you while you do business with friends, that's probably why you should separate the two. At the end of the day, it's a business relationship. And unfortunately, when you are Mr. J and you've already went on the Sherry Sherpa show and you've already done these appearances being asked about your time on the show, and you've had all this stuff to say to the best of your ability, trying to be all PR trained, yet you went back. You went back and you knew that things were different. You went back to work. It kind of, for me personally, it trips me out when people, in their first run of an experience, get the feeling that this person is no longer my friend, but it's business and I have this contract I have to fulfill. And you reached out to them. You get word from your lawyer that you will not be coming back or they're going in a different direction. You reach out to your boss. I mean, she's your boss at this point. You've been on the show, 9 cycles? Maybe more cycles than that. And you get 2 words: I'm disappointed. And you were left crushed. I don't think, and this may be a reflection of youth, I don't think people, as much as they're told not to mix the two, can't ungroup the two. And, it's human nature, like, y'all in bed together, going over stuff, talking, giggling, and all that other stuff. And yes, that's what friends do. But at the end of the day, like, there are business decisions. And if the president or the VP of programming doesn't want, the gay shit, like, it's too over the top, it's too much or whatever. And they even cut Nigel Barker, who's straight as an arrow. But again, still a business decision. Let them have it. The numbers sink. That's their karma. And you come back after she told you she was disappointed. And you knew that things were never the same. You leave or you're fired or whatever. And that's that, right? No. You want to put out this little narrative that you had other obligations and you couldn't do it. Okay. But that's the part that's really tripping me out, is that at the end of the day, TV makes you rich, movies make you famous. You've done 10 odd cycles of this show, coming from Canada, as I heard, word on the curb is that you were a MAC Cosmetics desk attendant or whatever. Through your association with Tyra and probably Mrs. J, you were hired to be the creative director. Now, as I was watching episode 3, and the focus was back on Mr. J, and he was telling the story about, I'm disappointed, getting the text or the email from Tyra saying, I'm disappointed. Then you go back to the show. What tripped me out, it was like, were you salty really more because you weren't the creative director, they got somebody else to do it. And when he was breaking the background down as to what it meant, you stand right here and you say these lines, and that's that. Not a whole lot of work, but that's a pretty big title. A title that could probably open a lot of doors for you. Maybe in his mind, he didn't think this show is in a lot of countries, therefore, there'll be a lot of opportunities. And you have the experience and the credentials. So it's not like you won't find work. But I think what a lot of people have is a lot of pride. He probably got a lot of offers and probably was like, well, I've been on TV. Why the fuck would I go work in a department store or work in Okie Skokie, bumfuck, Pennsylvania? I'm just theorizing because I get that feeling. You probably turned down a lot of gigs thinking, oh, well, it's not on the same level as top model, so I'm going to go back. But then you want to kind of, as promo for the show, mind you, Tyra's not the one on the media circuit promoting the show. It's these three. Again, earning money. So, the theme through episode 3 that I picked up on is that people were going to gripe on something and stand 10 toes down with it, only to then realize this is the best gig in town. Even though the personal feelings I have are not on the same page with the person next to me. But a girl's got to eat. So when that dries up, you're on this train, on this track over here. Kind of playing around with the idea that she wasn't shit to begin with. And then when it comes to the models, Winnie Harlow, other girls out there that claim that being on the show or didn't help them and Tyra didn't do jack shit for me. And it's like, at the end of the day, you have to work. You have to walk, you have to walk the talk. You have to walk the want, you know what I mean? It's like you already went through the grueling production schedule. Because remember, in episode 2, they were showing us little clips of girls being dehydrated, girls dry heaving, all the kind of things to kind of play up this as if production was, under numerous labor violations. You did the show, you went through all that, and you faced reality, and you mad at Tyra? I don't fault young people for having their head in the clouds and, falling into glamorizing what they think things should be or how it should turn out. And it's like, life will kick you in the head. You'll wake up. What you see in the commercials and see in the magazines, it's a lot of hard work that goes into that before you get to that point. So I don't really know what y'all were trying to achieve. I mean, you definitely gave the Gen Zers validation through this. This is the climate of exploitation and humiliation and embarrassment and getting on the soapbox, being righteous and arrogant with little information. All you have to go on is the little 45 minutes or the hour that they of each episode. And these are the same folks that watch Baddies. These are the same folks that watch Vanderpump Rules. These are the same folks that watch all those other reality shows, Love and Hip Hop. And then when it comes to Top Model, it's like, oh my God, it's just too much. Or are y'all pretending like y'all ain't being hypocritical for engagement? I'm willing to bet the latter. There were bits and pieces of maturing and realizing, evolving that, yeah, maybe we could have done more. And we probably should have protected the girls more. We probably should have not went through with this or that. And you're right. So I'm curious as to what Cycle 25 will look like now that everybody's on high alert. Now, if Tyra brings back the other three, I doubt it. Because, I mean, even though Sherry Shepherd's show is canceled, she's still broadcasting some demographic households. So I don't know if she'll bring those three back. But it's like, why mess up the winning formula? Please don't. For the love of God. Tyra Banks, Ken Mock, what it came right. Tyra Banks, Ken Mock. Please do not give Rita Ora another job. Please. And if you're going to bring panels and guests on the show, if you have not burned any further bridges since the inception of this show, other models, previous Top Model winners, bring Nile DeMarco if you want. That would be nice. Bring Eva back, please. Joanna, Adrian Curry. You can even bring back Joni. What's Yaya DaCosta up to? But please, 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 do not give Rita Ora another fucking job. Please. Because it's like, girl, you've been on Rock Nation since how long? I'm just saying. That's really my only ask when you rebirth Top Model. And hopefully when you bring back Top Model, you look at this docuseries and learn from your mistakes. Just like you wanted old girl that you were rooting for to learn from this. Just saying. I mean, Tyra. I mean, they already cut Tyra from her own shit. Like, do we want Tyra back, y'all? For Cycle 25? Do we want Tyra back for Cycle 25? I mean, y'all hate it so much. See, this is the tricky part. This is the tricky part about having an opinion. Mr. J said it best back in the day. If you have an opinion about everything, you're gonna wind up with nothing. Y'all dragged that lady for the better part of the last 2 or 3 years. The network, whatever network that is going to take this on, probably saw this docuseries and is probably going to stick to not bringing Mr. and Mrs. J back. I mean, Miss J, I really hope that GoFundMe gets traction. I'm sure it will, because everybody loves to donate and feel sorry. So they can't bring him back. Now Joe Bark, I don't know. Probably didn't help your case being part of the fray with Mr. and Mrs. J. Probably not going to bring you back. I wouldn't mind the Marin dude with another dog. You know, he keeps a little dog on his hand. I don't know. What would Cycle 25 look like? The panels and stuff. I mean, you kind of have a dark cloud over the show now. But please, do not bring Rita Ora back. Keep her over in the UK. Rock Nation. Keep Rita Ora over in the UK. Okay? I would rate this docuseries probably like a 8.5 out of 10. It didn't cover any new territory really. I caught on to the gotcha early on with around Shandy. You know, y'all have this annoying habit of revising history to speak to how troubled this show used to be. But there wasn't, like I said, anything, a perspective from a model that had good things to say. And I think they did that on purpose. So yeah, I mean, 8.5 out of 10. The real world will kick you in the ass if you're not ready. You know, you're on the show. It's up to you to make the most of it or not to make the most of it. At the end of the day, you're going to face some harsh truths that people before you have faced. And it's not on anybody else. It's Mr. Fox, the I Refuse podcast. Episode 3 was okay. Episode 2 was decent. Episode 1 was pretty good. But I saw it for what it was. And it didn't make as much motion for me as it probably did for a lot of y'all. But it was good to go down memory lane. Hope Shandy is seeking therapy. Hope the rest of the girls found work if they wanted to. I mean, again, the choice is yours. Whether you want the rest of the world to believe that you didn't have one, it is on somebody else, and it's not. So, at any rate, I'm Mr. Fox, I Refuse podcast. This is my review for episode 3. Nothing new, nothing revealed, nothing, no smoking gun in this docuseries. So yeah, that's where it is. Support the I Refuse podcast where you get your podcast and the YouTube channel. Usual Suspects podcast out and available. And I Refuse podcast After Dark. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace. Fendi, like the bag.